Hi, welcome back to Ozarks Prepared, where we're going to teach you not only how to prepare, but how to survive and to thrive. If that's something you're interested in, think about subscribing to the channel. So today I want to talk to you about the 4 types of survival. Let's get to it. So the first type of survival is bugging in. And basically that's where you're going to stay in your house during a certain amount of time. Maybe there's a blizzard that's coming. Maybe there is an electrical outage. Maybe there is something in the city that's going on, or any way of a natural disaster that's making it to where you can't get out, but you've got to bug into your house. And usually this is going to last anywhere from 24 hours to a week. So how you can go about making sure you're better prepared for that is just by making sure you've got alternate parts of energy. So if you maybe got some solar power, some wind turbine, anything like that, you need to make sure you have extra food to be able to cover that, extra water put aside, ways to cook that water, ways to cook that food, to prepare it, ways to stay warm. Whatever you can do to make it easier on yourself during that time is going to be better. And of the 4 types of survival, this by far is the easier one, because you're in your home, you're in your natural surroundings, you're used to it, you're comfortable there. So if you can just go a little bit out of your way now to prepare, bugging in for a short term shouldn't be that big of a deal. So certain ways you can do that is just by reading the different disasters that might happen in your area, see how long they occur. If you're in an area that gets a lot of snowfall and you know you can get a lot of blizzards, how long do they usually last before you're able to get out, or before help's able to get in? Determining how long you're going to be there lets you know how much food or water or different things like that you need to prepare. So of all 4, that's definitely the easiest. All right, the second type of survival is being lost. And personally, I think this is probably the toughest of all, because you don't plan for it. You don't prepare for it. You're not like, well, hey, I think I'm going to get lost today. And there are thousands of people each year who get lost in national forest, in the desert, at sea, camping, and they go for a walk. And you go from being secure and being safe to all of a sudden, now you're lost. What do I do? And the reason I say that this is the hardest is because whether you go camping or whether you go on an excursion, especially if it's someplace you've never been, you've got to have a little bag. I mean, the very minimum, you've got to have a bag that has things that will address water purification, it'll address shelter, it'll address fire, it'll address catching or procuring some food, and it'll address navigation, being able to navigate. But when you're lost, I mean, you can be a mile off your trail or even closer. People have died no more than 200 yards from their trail just because they weren't prepared for it. But being lost, I mean, that can go anywhere from 24 hours. You know, there's still some people who've never been found. So while having those bags with you that could help you in that situation to prolong it, you're going to eventually get to the spot where you're going to have to be like, okay, do I go for help? Do I try to get out of the situation myself? Can I make it to safety? Or do I stay here and let people find you? And no matter what you decide, you've got to have the skill sets to do it. So if you are going to try and find your way out, you better make sure you have that right gear. And the most important in this situation, the right knowledge. Can you read a topographical map? Can you tell by the stars or by the sun or by the trees which way north, south, east, and west is? Can you traverse over the landscape? Do you know where to look to find water so you can purify it? Do you know how to read signs and be able to trap the food you might need, or what plants are edible? Having knowledge in any of these situations is going to be the #1 key to survival. But being lost, like I said, I think that's probably the toughest and probably the most scariest of them all, because you're just not prepared for it. You don't know how you're going to react when you're in that situation. So just having the few basic preps. Just imagine you do get lost in a national forest, and the peace of mind it would have to know, okay, at least I've got a way to purify water here. At least I've got some shelter, some fire starter, and I got some stuff or a book on wild edibles or how to trap this food. That's going to give you a moral boost right there to help you get through the situation. So one way, and I know I said you can't plan on it, and you can't, but one way you can prepare for something like that is through your knowledge. Okay, the third way we survive is by bugging out. Now, bugging out can be a long list of items. I mean, natural disasters, civil unrest, things that's going to make you physically leave your home because you feel it's no longer safe to be there. And bugging out can be anywhere from 72 hours, maybe even up to a year. And that's probably the term I would put on that, 72 hours up to a year. So in that time, you need to be able to get to your designated bug out location. Now, some of us have cabins out in the wilderness. Some of us have a spot we've got picked out that a family member owns. Some of us might just know an area very well that our family has camped there for generations and generations. And you know everywhere around there. So what you've got to be able to do is first, in the two-part plan, get to your location. If the reason you're bugging out is because of weather or because it's no longer safe to be there, can you safely get to your bug out location? Do you have the means to get there? Are you going by car? Are you going by boat? Are you going by bike? Are you hiking? And do you have the proper tools set aside to get there by that vehicle? And then once you get there, you got to be able to survive for up to a year. And you know, if you've got a designated bug out location or a cabin, you're going to have supplies there. If you thought long enough and far enough ahead to have that location, then I promise you, you've thought about having the supplies there. So you should be good on water, you should be good on food, you should be good on warmth and weather and things like that. So what you really got to do is prepare your mind and then prepare for once that situation or those supplies roll off or run out. That way you say, okay, I know I'll make it to this date, so by this date I've got to be able to come back home, or I got to figure out another way of survival. Okay, the fourth and final area of survival is what's called INCH, which stands for I'm not coming home. And of all four, this is the most long-term, and it's the most really probably gut-wrenching and just eye-opening situation. So here I'm talking about something like a major flood that it's wiped out your area, or there's a nuclear, chemical, biological weapon. There's been a war or civil unrest where they've taken over your town. Whatever the situation is to where there is just no way you can come back home, that's what in survival is. And this is basically a whole new way of life. So in survival, again, your bug out location, or if you just got to uproot and move somewhere else, this is where knowledge is going to be paramount in everything. Because when you're talking about something over a year, you're talking about something that's for the rest of your life or for the unseen future. You're talking about no matter how well you've prepped, it's going to run out. So you got to be able to MacGyver things. You're going to be able to grow your own food, to hunt your own food, to trap your own food, to purify your own water. You're going to have to make and mend your own clothes. You're going to have security all the time, all around the clock, especially if it's a nationwide or a global event, because people who didn't prepare are going to come to you because they know you've prepared. So it is very, very important when you're sitting there and you're wondering, okay, am I prepared for each of these four? You got to realize that with INCH survival or I'm not coming home survival, that's long term. You've got to get rid of everything you don't need, and you got to realize from this moment on, it's just all about survival, and it's probably going to be that way for the rest of your life. So in these four types of survival, like I said, there are ways you can be the best prepared you can be. Number one, and I'll always say it, is you've got to have the knowledge. No matter what the situation, if somebody took me out and dumped me in the woods and all I had was my backpack that I usually take when I'm hiking, I feel pretty confident that I'm going to be able to make it out there or wait until somebody finds me. I've just done enough work, I've done enough due diligence, I've done enough practice to where I feel comfortable doing that. And that's where you've got to be in a situation like that. You've got to try it. You've got to use your preps. It does you no good to have preps if you're not going to use them, if you're not going to practice them. So pull them out and practice. As far as bugging in, again, you can, that's probably the easiest, that's probably the safest for you, because your house is where you're going to have 95% of all your preps. You're going to have enough water, you're going to have enough food, you're going to have enough security. You're not going to have to worry about moving them because they're going to be there for you. So all you have to worry about doing is surviving and protecting what you have. And then when it comes to bugging out and I'm not coming home, that is really where your kids are going to be key. You've got to make sure that you have enough of everything you need to survive. Now, I know this channel is about not only surviving but thriving. So if you're only going to get a few things, you make sure that all the survivals checked off. You got your water, you got your food, you got your air, you got your shelter, you got your warmth. Cover those first. Beyond that, you get stuff that kind of makes you just be able to enjoy it a little better or make it a little bit more comfortable. You know, maybe games, books, a warm meal, a well-cooked meal. Things like that can make you feel human, that can help you get through it. But no matter what situation you are in, what kind of survival situation you're in, you're going to drastically improve your odds if you got the knowledge, you got the practice time, you're in the best physical health you can be in, you're in the best emotional health you can be in, and then you've got a plan. And if you got a plan and you can follow it and you can execute it, you're a leg up. Guys, I hope this video was useful to you. I hope it helped. If so, give us the thumbs up. And remember, you never know what's going to happen and you never know when it's going to happen. But you can prepare the best you can to give you great chances through it. Thanks for watching. Until next time, prepare, survive, and thrive.